The 9/11 terrorist attacks, we'll be going through a quick PowerPoint view. The date was September 11th, 2001, and actually happened 17 years ago, in which 19 terrorists hijacked 4 jetliner planes and used them as guided missiles. At the end of the day, they pretty much killed about close to 3,000 people. It was a really sad time in our life. It was a really difficult time as a nation, as a country, and as an American. This was a very really sad point of our human existence in this country. It happened between the time of 8:46 and 10 a.m. Of course, the target, we all know by now, was the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the last one was pretty much unknown because the plane crashed in between Pennsylvania and presumption was that it was possibly going straight to the White House or the Capitol, but it finally crashed in the middle of the fields. The location, of course, was New York City, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. The weapon, of course, as we said before, it was 4 jetliners, and they were used as missiles and pretty much a bomb. The attack was pretty much aircraft hijacking. The type of attack was aircraft hijacking, suicide attacks, terrorism, and mass murder. The terrorists originated from Saudi Arabia, most of them. They were international terrorists, which belonged to the Al-Qaeda terrorist group and led by Osama bin Laden. Most of these terrorists at that time lived in America for, I believe it was a couple of months to years, in which they were able to get experience and training in how to fly planes. As we continue on the terrorist attacks events, the World Trade Center finally collapsed, and after the 3rd plane, which hit the Pentagon, we saw that several people died in that incident, and overall, approximately close to 6,000 people were injured at the end of the terrorist attack. The significance of this terrorist attack against America is that international terrorists came to our country and attacked us domestically. It happened in our own land. It happened in our own soil. The first attack, besides this, was Pearl Harbor in I believe it was 1941, December of 1941. And we had short-term effects on the economy. The U.S. economy was affected, of course, and we saw that there was major unemployment in airline employees and tourism. Also, property damage of all these buildings that collapsed were approximately close to $100 billion, along with the planes that were lost, and of course there's no price on human life, but overall it was close to $100 billion that was lost. the U.S. economy, in the long term, the cost was even more, to the extent of fighting terrorism, international terrorism, and domestic terrorism. The future mitigation in military response was close to $1.9 trillion. And it continues to grow at this time because we are continuing to fight and protect ourselves from domestic and international terrorists. The principles and theories that I was able to understand was that we saw that terrorist people came into our own country to attack us, and this would be considered as transitional terrorism, in which these people came and attacked us in our own country. And of course, we all know it was Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden. 6 tactics of terrorism, which we could see in these terrorist attacks of 9/11: bombing, hijacking, arson, assault, kidnapping, hostage taking. Pretty blunt and straightforward on how these terrorists operated and used these tactics against our people. Also, it was force multipliers, which we can see that they had the ability to travel around our country, and they had support in our nation, so that would be considered transitional support. And of course, they also had the technology to gain experience and teach themselves how to fly planes. We saw that on how each of them, or a couple of them, flew the plane directly into the World Trade Center. Media coverage, at the end of the day, these people were pretty much recognized after the incident of 9/11. And of course, religion, the fight against religion, their beliefs were pretty much inclusive in the force multipliers. The Islamic religion could be included in this. Also, theory of suicide terrorism. Pretty much, it was a lethal strike that caused greater fear. 9/11 terrorist attacks impact on Americans. Of course, besides trauma, fear, and mental trauma, there was Islamophobic sentiment against Americans, amongst Americans, and it was of course against the Muslims and the Arabs. We saw that hate crime and violent crime against Arabs and Muslims grew during the aftermath of 9/11. Fear and discrimination also grew against Arabs, and Islam religion viewed as an evil religion by many Americans. That was the negative part of the terrorist attacks. What are the current and future plans against the war on terror? We talked a bit about the mitigated military action against international terrorism and domestic terrorism. We saw that the cost was going to be a little bit too much. It continues to be an expensive bill for the United States. The benefits, of course, includes safer air travel, more U.S. air marshals, more TSA screeners, better port security, domestic law enforcement increase, and of course technology. Technology has always and will always continue to be an effective tool for the fight against terrorism. We conclude with this terrorism PowerPoint. Really interesting. I gained a lot of knowledge, a lot of insight of what and how the terrorists, how did they proceeded with their attacks against America, and what type of terrorism theories and tactics they used in this type of attack against us. Well, anyways, thank you very much, and hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you. Bye.